Good evening, everybody. This is Older, and tonight I have my special guest, one, the only Dr. John Stamey. How the heck are you doing there, Doctor?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I've been on your show on a Scary Cast. I think that's off of Facebook, if memory serves, several times. And I really enjoyed it, and I thought, what the heck, hey, you were good enough to let me on your show. I should do the same, and so here you are. And but no, anyway. Dr. John, could you possibly tell the audience a little bit about yourself, kind of give them a background on how the heck did you become, what kind of a doctor are you, and kind of give everybody a background as to, some of your, some of your, I don't know, I guess your resume. So,
Yeah,
go.
sure. I'd be glad to, Mulder. I have a doctorate in computer science from North Carolina State University in Raleigh. It's a great school. I got a bachelor's and master's in mathematics from Wake Forest, also a bachelor's in music. I was a performance composition major. And then I got a master's in computer science at Clemson University. Then I got my doctorate in computer science from NC State. And not wanting to stop, I got my master's in agriculture and natural resources systems management. That's a fancy way of saying agricultural economics, which
Mhm.
is kind of my business degree and everything. That was really a helpful degree to get, and I enjoyed it very much. They did a great job. University of Tennessee was tough as it could be, and I really enjoyed it. So I taught for quite a while, probably about 20 years. And then I got out of that. I went into sales. I sell life insurance. And I also run events, Comic Cons, and festivals. What happened to me is that when I was getting my doctorate at North Carolina State, I found the Rhine Institute of Parapsychology over in Durham, which was about 45 minutes away. I went over there. I met this lovely lady named Dr. Sally Ryan Feather, who became an immediate good friend. And I did some research with her. I became a research assistant or research associate over there. And I'll be honest with you, I've seen everything but a full UFO landing. Uh, they did some wild and crazy things back in the day, and I got to see them. So anyway, I decided. I decided to start running Comic Cons, and I don't know what happened, but I just got this idea in my head, because I'm a fan of Bigfoot and I'm a fan of UFOs. And I got this idea in my head, well, maybe I should run a Bigfoot conference. So one day I just announced it. It was the Tennessee Bigfoot Conference. And I had 430 people show up to Bays Mountain Park. It was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And now here's my biggest and best conference is the Georgia Bigfoot Conference right now. And here's a funny story about it. I said, well, I'm going to do one. So I registered the domain name and I put up a Facebook page. Didn't think a thing about it. About 3 months later, my friend Matt Delph called me up. He said, John, you got about 50 people that are asking on that Georgia Bigfoot Conference Facebook page when it's going to be. I said, oh, okay. Well, let's see what happens. So about another month came by. He said, John, you got 125 people want to know when the Georgia Bigfoot Conference is. I said, I guess I better put it together and run it. So I did. We had about 220 people show up for that very first conference, and it was great.
Mhm.
It's grown over 6 years. We had 508 people this past April sitting there listening to talks about Bigfoot. It was just really spectacular. And I've started adding some other Bigfoot conferences. I've got now this is one I hope all your listeners will take part in. It's the North Carolina Bigfoot Conference. It's just north of Asheville in a little town called Burnsville at the Burnsville Town Center, and it's on June the 17th. So just about 18, 19 days away. And it's going to be really exciting. I got some great guest speakers. We're going to have a lot of fun. So that's what's going on. And in my world, I'm just working by day and conferencing by night and weekend, and it's a lot of fun. I've met a lot of great people. In fact, I met you through a series of friends that I got by running the Bigfoot conferences and running podcasts because I run a
Mhm.
scary cast. In fact, I have a great friend, Elijah Henderson. He's the reason that I know you. I mean, it's just great. So,
Hmm.
you know, all things kind of happen for a reason. And then you and I started talking about some radionics because I heard you were into that. And I'd been looking far and wide for someone that knew about it. And lo and behold, there you were. So, you know, it's been kind of cool getting to know you over the past month and all these things that we've been doing.
Oh yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think you even got it planned for me to, I guess, to do a Q&A for 30 minutes or so, half an hour, to kind of introduce people at the conference about radionics and kind of give them some inside baseball. And I've worked with people in the past when it came to cryptid technology or cryptid activity, uh, using these radionics devices to do that. And I'm thinking. And the results that I hear is, the typical, trees, they're getting like activity, I guess tree thumping, is that what they call it or something,
Yeah,
something
something like
psycho.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm hearing a lot of interesting tales so that, I think there's that might be of use to the cryptid community when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm very open-minded about it. I'm indifferent. I don't believe or disbelieve. It's just one of those things where I'm open-minded to this entire idea. And a mutual friend of ours, Christian McLeod, I think that's you and I when we first met. He came along there, came, with us, and you guys were able to, discuss, the conferences and what have you. And he's really big into the cryptid Bigfoot community up there in Asheville, North Carolina. And so, I was glad that we were all able to get together and meet and discuss this stuff and introduce you to the radionics. But you know, I've heard a lot of interesting, uh, stories concerning, cryptids and that kind of thing, and using this to promote it. I mean, I've still told this story many times on the show, and just, for those, new to it, I really won't go into all the details, just kind of give you an overview. But what happened at this haunted cemetery, a Catholic priest, along with a group of some teenage girls and another Bigfoot, researcher, were there at the back of this haunted cemetery in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and they saw this giant 8 foot tall shadow type creature basically run in front of them. They could make it was darker than dark. They could make out its form. They could hear the rustling of the leaves, the footsteps as it's just trotting past them, and everybody could see it. I mean, it's just, it wasn't one of those things where, oh, I think there might have been something. I mean, they actually saw this thing in real life, and it made a lasting impression on a lot of people that night. Lucky me, unlucky me, I was back up front with the car, so I didn't personally see it, but I did get through the stories from, but everybody that was in that group at that cemetery did see this thing. My question is, even though this is a shadow creature, it seems to have all the, when they described it, except for, the height, the shape, the way it ran, that kind of a thing. They seem like they were describing a cryptid or possibly a Bigfoot type entity. I don't know if that's true or not. Have you ever heard of something like that? I'm curious.
Well, I mean, I've had about 10 Bigfoot encounters myself, so it sounds very typical. I think one of the more interesting ones that I had was in Clayton, right outside of Clayton, Georgia. I
Hmm.
was standing on a one-lane dirt road. It's very nice, peaceful. It was kind of raining, a little overcast like it is today. And I just was enjoying it before I was going to head on down to Clayton and do my business there.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, I mean, it was wooded, and across the street, I saw about a 4 foot by 8 foot square something get launched up in the air. It went over about a 50-foot tall pine tree and came crashing down. Now, that was unusual.
Yes, I would say.
And I noted that there was a dark shadow figure that had done it. It was just very brief that I saw it. Then it disappeared. And the minute that that thing hit the ground and that thing rang, the sound rang through the forest. I
Hmm.
raised my hand up and I said, "Hey, how's it going?" Bigfoot's smart. Bigfoot realized that had it just come walking down that one lane dirt road to say hello to me, I'd have had a heart attack.
Right.
I would have had a heart attack. So what's the best way to say hello? Just pull a trick like that and make a big loud crash in the forest. And I knew what it was. I knew it was Bigfoot because I had had another, actually two other experiences right there at that same location. And I know that there are Bigfoot out there in the forests of North Georgia. There's a ton of Bigfoot. It's a heavily populated area. And I saw it. I know what I saw. I experienced it. I experienced that crash that came down, and I knew that was hello from Bigfoot
Okay.
acknowledging me. So, I mean, and so I've seen that. And I have a friend, Robin. She's an experienced Bigfoot. Well, she's an experiencer. She has a lot of Bigfoot sightings at her house. And one time we were sitting there eating a late Saturday lunch, and my chair was facing the window in the dining room, and all of a sudden I saw Bigfoot walk by. I mean, Jesus. And so I bolted out the front door, and it had gone.
Hmm.
And I came in, she said, bet you saw a Bigfoot and bet it wasn't there anymore. I said, that's exactly right. But I saw one. It was a reddish brown Bigfoot. It was probably about 8, 9 feet, maybe 10 feet tall, just
Hmm.
casually walking by the window. I
Hmm.
can't change what I saw, and I remember it to this day. I mean, so I mean, she has a lot of paranormal experiences at her home, and but that was one of them. She's also got two ghosts in her house, and like one day, five of us were sitting in her living room. That was all the people in the house. We were all sitting in the living room, and I heard something like a child run up the stairs. And I mean, the stairs are just like right off the living room.
Right.
And so I bolted there. There was nothing there, but we all heard this child run up. And so then one night, I'm the last time I stayed at her house. This is very interesting. So I'm in a bedroom right next to that stairwell on the second floor, and I heard somebody come up the stairs. I mean, and I said, "Oh well, it must be Pat because they do have a lot of pets there, and they had several of them in a room upstairs." So I said, "Well, that's probably what that was. Pat just was coming up to take care of the animals or something."
Hmm.
Then another minute or two later, I heard somebody else come walking up the stairs. I said, maybe that's Robin, because their bedroom's downstairs, and we were the only three people in the house. And then about another minute later, I heard something come up the stairs again, and I positioned myself right at the door. I carefully and quietly unlocked the bedroom door, and when the last step was hit right at the very top, I burst the door open. There was nothing there.
Hmm.
I mean, I can't help it that I heard. I think that's called a repeating phantom. It's not necessarily a ghost. It's maybe just like a recording or something that
Hmm.
sometimes starts playing. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I've seen lots of interesting things at her house in North Georgia, um, at my house. So I mean, the Bigfoot's all over.
Hmm.
Now, if you really don't believe, it's a little bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't believe in Bigfoot, you're gonna have a hard time seeing a Bigfoot. But if you believe in a Bigfoot, you might very well see one. It's the old self-fulfilling prophecy. And people ask me all the time, well, I mean, have you seen one? Is it real? Well, absolutely, it's real.
Hmm.
And I did an exercise at the last Georgia Bigfoot conference. Someone said, well, why aren't there any more pictures of Bigfoot? Why aren't there any? I said, all right, everybody put your hands straight down. So I got about 400 people. I said, put your hands straight down. And on the count of three, I want you to find your cell phone, get your camera app up, and take a picture, and then raise your camera. And I said, 1, 2, go. And then I counted the seconds. The shortest time was 14 seconds to get the
Hmm.
camera out, to get the camera app going, and to take a picture. And there is your answer takes too long to take a picture. I mean, we all have cell phones, but it takes a while to take a picture.
Mm-hmm.
It does. I mean, there's nothing. I can't change that. And so by that time, Bigfoot's gone.
Right.
So there's our answer of where are the Bigfoot pictures. You have to be very lucky
Exactly. Right place, the right time, and prepared.
and
But
prepared. That's it.
yeah, you know, again, I'm open-minded about this entire thing. I think I told you before, my introduction to it, I don't, I don't think it was the best of introductions. I met a gentleman. I won't mention his name on air, but he's a very colorful character out of Kentucky, and that was my introduction to the Bigfoot world. And along with somebody who does a national radio talk show a couple times a month, and that's their big thing. Also, no pun intended.
Yeah,
The
let me
Bigfoot.
ask you something. Let me ask you something real quick. Was the guy
Sure.
that you met, you're talking about in Kentucky, does he go by the name Squatch Man?
You are correct. That is the man.
Yeah, he's something else. His son and I went Bigfoot hunting, went paranormal exploring in Northeast Georgia, and we saw some amazing things. He's got one of the
Hmm.
his son's one of the nicest people. He's got a nice wife and beautiful little daughter, and
Hmm.
they're just the best people in the world. And again, no names mentioned, but yeah, it's an interesting family. It really is. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Yeah, and again, yeah, I saw a lot of things there. That he showed me his hot spot. Where this Bigfoot was at. It was at a national park, and apparently he told half the world about it. So you had everybody going through this thing, contaminating it. Who knows what else they could have done there? And if this, and again, I didn't see anything. I mean, I saw a few structures, and some of these things I thought were about the size of, it'd be something that an actual average sized human being might build. Okay. And, and my problem with this, and when we go out and do we did a nighttime, it was basically about 4 or 5, well, I take that back, maybe 6 people who were out in the woods looking for Bigfoot. And, and how it came to me, and again, I'm just an outsider looking in. I'm just observing the situation of these particular people. This is my introduction, and every breaking of a twig in the forest was a Bigfoot. The rustling of the leaves was a Bigfoot. Every indentation on a riverbank was a Bigfoot. And I'm thinking, you guys, yeah, I understand that you're enthusiastic about this subject here, but I think that you may be adding more to it than what's actually there, or you need to start finding more evidence or what have you about this. Yeah, this might be like a trail of breadcrumbs leading you to where they may be. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. But what I was introduced, these people seem like they're more interested not in the research of cryptids, but they were like wanting to get their 15 minutes of Andy Warhol fame. They wanted to get on TV, and that's really my introduction to this. And but here the other side of the coin. When I start meeting real people like yourself and like Robin, you guys, you have a different way of looking at this thing. You're not trying to exploit this for your own personal gain. Sure, you hold events and what have you, and you got to make money to pay for the events, but it's not that's not it. You're doing this for because you believe in what you're doing. When it comes to cryptids, you believe in this, and you guys are sincere about it, and you're not trying to be not trying to put on some kind of a show, if that's a good way of putting it. You guys are actually doing the real research, and you're being responsible about it. And that's the reason why I have respect for you and for people like Robin. You've
Well,
given,
thank you.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. And
And
so,
I think I'll just go ahead and add something to that. I've really, and I have become, in a sense, extremely wealthy from the great friends that I've made in putting on these conferences. I mean, you can measure your wealth by money, and you can measure your wealth by property, or you can measure your wealth by the great experiences you've had and the friends you've made. And I've made $1 billion worth of friends in this
mhm.
paranormal business. Now I just have. I mean, I'm worth $1 billion in friends, and I'm very proud of it. And I'm very proud of the friends that I do have. They're really all nice people. They really are.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and that's what I'm telling you also. This is what restored my faith in meeting people like yourself. I mean, you just got finished giving everybody your credentials, and I mean, you are not some you're not some no insult here, but I'm just just some backwoods guy just trying to put make a name for himself. I mean, you've actually done. You're a scientist. You're an honest to God research scientist. This is what you do. You think analytically. You think does this work? Yes or no? And and when you do experiments, and when it comes to your particular profession, and and that's what I respect. You're looking at this responsibly, and I'm looking at it. Okay, cause and effect. What's the evidence I have at hand? Can I believe my own eyes? And that kind of thing. And and you don't
Mhm.
go off this half cocked.
Well, no, I don't. I have a few stories and I share them, and that's what I do. Um, and I've studied Bigfoot. I'm very fortunate. I've written 4 books. One of them is called Introduction to Hominology. That is Introduction to the Science of Bigfoot. That's what it's
Hmm.
called. And I was very fortunate to have a co-author named Igor Burtsev, Dr. Igor Burtsev, who is the premier Bigfoot researcher in the world today. He's about 83 years old. He gets around better than all of us. I mean, he really does. He's a great guy. He's still writing books. He's up in the Ural Mountains. I wouldn't be up in the Ural Mountains. That's a little bit too scary. A lot of stuff happens up there, and a lot of
Right.
people tend to vanish. And at the Dyatlov Pass. I mean, oh my God. There are places in this world that are just so terrifying. And I guess I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat. If I know something, if I know there's potential of something really bad happening, I'm gonna go somewhere else
Oh
because
yeah.
I enjoy hanging around,
Oh yeah.
drinking my diet ginger ale, talking to you on your radio show, whatever. I mean, I
Yeah.
enjoy that.
Yeah. Exactly. You know, and and I've been to. I've talked about this story many times. It made a lasting impact on me. This particular outing. That's when I was convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's paranormal, that ghosts, spirits, whatever you want to call it, it's real. It does actually exist. And I've talked about this again many times. It's called the Gates of Hell Cemetery in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. That's its nickname, Gates of Hell Cemetery. That place is truly haunted. There's something going on there. And no way in hell would I be caught there by myself at night. Hell, I don't even want to be there at night with other people. It is that bad,
Hmm.
you know?
I know exactly what you mean. Although I did break my rule today. I was talking to my buddy Elijah Henderson from Clarksville, Tennessee. Now he is well known because his father and mother were the best researchers ever at Land Between the Lakes,
Hmm.
which is a breeding ground for dogman and for Bigfoot. I will
Hmm.
tell you that.
Hmm.
And he said, "All right, John, when are you gonna come up and see me and my sister? You've been promising and promising and promising." I said, "All right, look up the 4th of July, and it's on a Tuesday. So I'm going to be going up there. I'm going to be driving up Thursday before the 4th, and then I'm going to be with them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then probably coming back Monday.
Hmm.
And I'm going to go to Land Between the Lakes, but it's going to be during the day, and we're going to stay in Elijah's truck." I mean, those are my conditions. I said, "I'm not going in those woods." He said, "We don't have to." Because they've seen lots of stuff as they've just been driving along in the truck up there. That's another one of those places you have to use extreme care when you know when you are going there. So that I'm breaking my rule a little bit, but that's okay. I still want to go. It's just the allure of Land Between the Lakes is just huge for me, and I want to get a book out about the place. There's really not a book on it, and
Hmm.
I want to go up there and feel it. I want to go to Vampire Hotel, where in the early '90s, high school kids and college age kids would go out there and drink each other's blood, and just all kinds of crazy stuff was happening at
Oh,
Vampire Hotel. And it's in ruins, but I want a picture of me at Vampire Hotel.
oh,
Um, and it's all it is now is just the brick walls that were around it and just the ruins of an old structure. But I'll have that up on Facebook for everybody to see. That's that'll kind of be a signature moment for me. So anyway, that's a little bit about me and Land Between the Lakes. I'm sorry. Just I had
No.
you got me in one of those moods. I don't mind digressing and talking
Oh,
about things.
yeah, and that's the beauty behind the show. There's no format to this thing. It's what I do. I believe in. I think you and I had this conversation this morning when we decided we would do a show today. I just said the audience appreciates organic. They don't like it, things that are staged. Hell, you can get that. All you got to do is turn on your TV if you want to see something that's staged. What this is just a free flowing of ideas. Just a couple of guys bantering back and forth about what I consider very interesting subjects. And another thing too, and like as you mentioned earlier, is we both were discussing this earlier about radionics. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I met this guy. I guess it had to have been what 2 weeks and a day. It's probably 13 days ago. I think is when I actually physically gave you that machine. Is that correct?
It was either 2 or 3 weeks in a day. I can't remember. I think maybe it was three. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
It
all right. I
wasn't
gave
very
this
long.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. I gave this guy a machine, and he began using this machine to help with this with a certain project that he wanted to become very successful. And I did this right out in the parking lot of the Outback Steakhouse in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Where I just went ahead and tuned the dials for him for this particular thing to come true and to be a very successful outcome or have a very successful outcome. And so, with that said, please, could you tell the audience as of right now what happened the day you got your machine into the present?
Well, about 3 hours after you set it up, I got a phone call about the project.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got another phone call about the project. And then about 9 o'clock that night, somebody had sent me an email and I responded. And it mushroomed. I've never had so much good luck. I mean, and it's the kinds of things that you would call good luck. That's how we look at it in our language. But I mean, just these great things were happening, and it's just been happening every day. I mean, I've been meeting tons of new people that are interested in this thing, and I've got to call some of them right after we get done here today. I'm gonna post a link to my interview here on the North Carolina Bigfoot Conference and website. I mean, the Facebook page, and I'm just going to keep on going. Now, what's really interesting is that Thursday, I took my radionics machine to my attorney's office. He's a very close friend, actually, and he's a business partner. And I'd been talking about radionics, so I just brought it in. I said, well, this is it. He said, wow, this is cool. And he started turning the knobs. And I said, well, that's okay. I wrote down the settings, so I was not particularly worried. So I left his office, and then I had about a 2.5 hour drive home. So I got home, and things were just kind of dead. And I think I did a podcast that night, and that was it. And I woke up the next morning, and I realized there was nothing going on with this project I was working on. It was dead. And I realized, wait a second, my friend turned the knobs and he changed it. So I've got my little sheet of paper. I retuned it, and 3 hours later, I got a phone call. It was just right out of the blue, and it just kept going. It's funny. It takes about 3 hours to get situated and working.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced that twice. Now I don't know what other people would, and started working. I mean, and things were moving along yesterday. Um, I got work now. It's not, if you use this radionics device, it can present opportunities. You still have to work on them. I mean, you can't just say, oh, it's not like something's going to fall in your lap, but opportunities, it's like an opportunity machine.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know if you've ever, and I think I've never thought about it. That's the best way to talk about it. It's not radionics, it's an opportunity machine. It presents opportunities. It really does.
Hmm.
And in fact, last night, now a very good friend of mine, Jen Cruz, she's one of the She Squatchers, and she's pretty psychic lady. She's a very good friend. And she sent me a text. She said, "Are you okay, John?" I said, "Well, sure. Why?" Oh, I was just wondering, and that worries me when someone who's very intuitive phrases something like that. I said, "I'm gonna call you," and she said, "Oh, everything's fine. I just saw you on TV. I was interviewed on Unexplained, starring William Shatner, last June 3rd, and
Hmm.
apparently it has been making the rounds the last month. I mean, I've had people calling me just out of the woodwork saying they just saw me on History Channel. It was really cool, and I appreciate it. But anyway, so I said, Jen, what do you, in your psychic sense, pick up from this radionics machine? She said, "Well, John, I was wondering what that was, but it's like there's a faint buzz that's going on, and it's coming from your end. And I know it's not my phone." And so, anyway, she said there's kind of a faint buzz. And I said, "Well, we're going to discuss this, and I'm going to tell the guy that built it, a little bit about that." And I did. I mean, it's just very exciting that something really is happening, except this thing's not plugged in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this happens from time to time. I may create a device, and it may have either the power supply may go kapooey, or there may be a component inside the machine itself that who knows. But I haven't seen the machine yet, so I can't really diagnose the problem. But it's going to be an easy fix either way. And so and even and you just proved it. Even without it plugged in, yes, it's working. It's doing its advertised. But here's the thing about it: if the electrical part of it was working, I wonder what if there would be a difference between your success rate now or your opportunity rate now with the power, the thing not being powered. And so I'm anxious to see how that works out for you. I really am. I like to say if he knows a difference, or noticeable difference between the two, between the two operations, with the electrical amplifier power, or number two without the any of the no power supplied to the electronics. And so I'm that right there. I'm anxious to see how that works out for you. Let's see, what's another thing I want to sort of dive in there. Uh, yeah, you and I, we've had a lot of conversations about this. Hey, John, I'm hearing a lot of background noise on your end, like feedback through the speaker. I don't.
You are?
Yeah. It's kind of, but I mean, it's all right. I have to, whenever I think I only hear it whenever I'm speaking, so it may be coming through your speakers. But anyway, that's okay. Um, but yeah, anyway, it really is fascinating what can be accomplished with this stuff. And I think the next thing, you know, I've talked to several. This has been several years ago. I would say probably 4 or 5 years ago. I talked to people who are involved in the cryptid world, the Bigfoot world, about designing a machine for them, specifically for cryptids. Now, my question to you, what do you think? How would you set up an operation? I mean, I know that you're just getting started here, but in your mind, I'll, how would you set up an operation to increase cryptid activity, or to be able to contact them, or that kind of thing? I'm just curious. What would
Well,
you
I
do?
think, well, I think I would focus on one particular area, an area that I wanted to study. I would probably do North Georgia, and I would set it up for success in meeting cryptids. That would be the goal that I have: success in meeting cryptids.
Hmm.
Safe, and I would add safely. I mean, I don't want to meet a dog man. I can tell you that. That'd
Okay.
be that'd be curtains. But just success in safely meeting cryptids, and just let her rip. And I'd wait till the weekend, and then I'd go out and see what I found. I mean, it's really simple, Brad. It just is, Professor Mulder. It's very simple. You just set this thing and it works, but you got to follow your nose. This opportunity machine, it presents opportunities, but you have to take advantage of them. You have to act on them, and that's one thing. Because if you're not a person of action, you're not going to get any results. You are not, and I
Mhm.
think you'll agree with me on that.
Yeah, exactly. This, and again, I'm fascinated by this radionics stuff. Now, could you tell the audience what was your first introduction to radionics? The idea of actually having a machine that you're able to tweak to make things happen, in reality. What was your
Well,
introduction?
Well, when I was 16 years old, I was at the local Eckerd's grocery store. Some people will remember Eckerd's from a long time ago, and I was there. And there used to be these things called pocketbooks. They were like, I don't know, 4 inches by 5 inches, and tons of them on a stand. And there was a book called Magic Science of the Future. And I said, wow, that looks interesting. So I bought it and I read it. And there was a chapter called The Amazing Hieronymus Machine, after Dr. T. Galen Hieronymus. And it talked about the radionics machine. It talked about what the United States Department of Agriculture did to kill corn borers. I think that's how you pronounce them. These insects that will really destroy corn plants. And it talked about how they were able to eradicate corn borers from a large area of a field.
Hmm.
And it did quote some newspapers, and I did find one of those articles. It was a Tucson, Arizona newspaper, and I found it one time. So I mean, it's for real, and so I always wanted one. And I was talking with that mutual friend of ours that we had lunch with, and he was telling me about Dr. Mulder and mentioned that you built radionics machines, and I said, "Stop! I want his number now." And and I have met there's another company other than yours that creates radionics machines. They're in Georgia. Their retail outlet is in Athens, Georgia, one of my favorite towns.
Hmm.
And they've been very nice, but their machines are expensive, really expensive, kind of like out of my price range. Yours are not out of anybody's price range. And that's what's so nice about them. I mean, anybody can get in this thing and make it work. I'd say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe it's going to work, by and large going to work. If you don't believe it's going to work, your wish will be granted. It will likely not work. And I don't know what that is the about the self-fulfilling prophecy just in the whole world, but it works. I mean, if you believe this thing's going to work, it works. I mean, and I know it's working, and I keep getting opportunities every day. I mean, in fact, okay, I got a text message at 6 o'clock this morning from some dude that asked me to be on a podcast today, and I thought, golly, that's just another opportunity to, well, at least I'm gonna get to promote Bigfoot and my North Carolina Bigfoot conference. So I just thought it was great. And
Yeah.
this machine, it just working, and it just keeps working. It's just sitting there quietly working.
Hmm.
I asked a mutual friend of ours, an electrical engineer. I said, could you explain to me the architecture of one of these machines? And he said, John, I would hate to explain it to you. I have had this machine work for me, he said. I don't know how it works. I don't know why it works. It frankly shouldn't work, but it does. Thousands of people have bought these machines. Thousands of people have success with them. And this is one of the true mysteries in nature. We really don't know why it works, but
Yeah.
I'm glad we got them. That's
Yeah.
what he said.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I know exactly who you're referring to, and yeah, some of the things that he did were just beyond odds. I mean, they're beyond just you know. I have no clue what the odds would be for some of the things that have happened, and it's just incredible. It really, truly is what's going on there, and so. But I tried to explain it. You know, the last time I was on your show, which was last Monday. And matter of fact, I want to put that show on my channel with your permission because I want to
Sure.
put a link. Yeah, because
Love for you too.
oh yeah, because you had a doctor there, a darn good surgeon, and the man was very very intelligent, and he asked some very direct questions, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Your show, what you did, with letting me just get out there and discuss radionics and why I think they work. And I've already discussed this, many times on the show. In my audience, they're familiar with, the double slit experiment and how I think it correlates with the functioning of these machines. But what you did there on that show, and I had comments, saying that was probably one of the best shows you've ever done. That's one of the best interviews you ever had was on that show with you and your co-host. And I mean, it just went so smoothly. I like what do you call it? Dr. Trey, is that's what
Trey,
you call
Dr. Trey Dun, Dr. Trey Donaway from Camden, South Carolina, just an incredible surgeon,
Oh
just
yeah,
and a great guy.
yeah.
I mean,
And if memory serves, I think he's coming to the conference also because I'd love to talk to him. I really would.
oh yeah, yeah. All four of the current Scary Casters are going to be at North Carolina Bigfoot Conference, June 17th. In Burnsville, North Carolina. Go to ncbigfootconference.com. It'll take you where you can buy tickets. You can see who's coming. And we got some more people. I got to add some more people today that are going to be coming just as guests, just to be there and talk to people. And it's going to be like a heck of a social situation. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh
So
yeah.
and we've also got a lady that's going to be teaching Bigfoot art. She's going to get people. She's going to bring canvases, and people going to draw things and everything. And this in has been very successful at several wineries. And so I said, sure, let's do it. And I got to put that up on the website today so that people can know. We can get some folks to come do that. So I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great collection of people. We might have a buddy of ours from Northern Virginia coming. Don't know. We might have our electrical engineer buddy coming. We got a lot of people that I think they're going to be coming, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And
Mhm.
just come meet everybody, learn about Bigfoot, learn about sightings, listen to Robin and Pat McRae, our keynote speakers, listen to the Scary Cast panel. It's going to be great. And of course, come meet and hear. My talk is going to be, I'm going to talk a little bit about radionics while you stand there and demonstrate this wonderful machine. And I think
Fantastic.
people are going to get a kick out of it. I've already had 3 people say, can we see how to do it? I think we might have 3 people that want to buy them. I mean, I don't know
Oh,
why they
fantastic.
would.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I will. You can be sure I'm going to bring some units there for people to, try them out themselves. I'll be able to demonstrate, like you said, to them. And I'm more than happy to talk to anybody who has an interest in it. I can help them set up their machines, show them how to properly tune it, and really, I've told so many people over the years how to do this. Hundreds, if not thousands, of times, and it's just I kind of come down with like a little method of how to understand what a stick feels like, how to what speed do you turn the knobs, what do you use as a witness sample on the machines, and that kind of a thing, and kind of have a proper mindset for using the machines for the best results. And that's another thing you and I were talking about, kind of switching gears a little bit here. As you mentioned earlier, it's the psychology. If you think it's not going to work, it's not going to work. If you think it's going to work, it's going to work. You're right either way. And what I agree. And here's the thing: when I tell people, hey, some people we run into hard times from time to time, and we may have a few difficulties in life or a few speed bumps or what have you. But the thing about it is, when you're tuning these machines, even if you can't feel enthusiastic, just try to focus at all. Use all your will to focus on what is the end results that you're trying to accomplish with these machines. That's it. Just visualize in your mind the end results of this thing being a successful operation, that everything that you're trying to accomplish here is all going to come into place. You don't, and it just, and then tune the machine accordingly. And, and a thing that I mentioned on your show is I don't care about the journey. What I care about is the destination. A million different things can happen. They're beyond my control. They're unforeseen that will benefit my, the operation or the success of an operation. And right there, you're proving it yourself. It's just, you're talking to these people out of the blue to come down there for this conference. You're getting all this publicity, through social media and what have you, and it's just starting to like a snowball rolling down a hill. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And yeah, did you have to, like you said earlier, did you have to exert some effort out there? Did you have to make some phone calls, or you have to answer some phone calls? Do you have to send some emails, send some texts? And yeah, you do all that stuff. That's part of the, you're exerting, you're throwing your energy out there for this thing to become a success. And the machine is there, like you said, to provide you opportunities to kind of mold your reality in such a way where these opportunities come up for you to actually make things manifest and come to pass. And fantastic job, my friend. I applaud
And
you.
and I want to say one other thing. I was introduced to this because I was told that it will amplify and magnify your intention.
Hmm.
So if you've got your intention, we all intend to do this or intend to do that. I intend to go to Walmart today. I got to buy some bottled water and some more Diet Schweppes ginger ale because they have it now. I've never seen it, and I'm thrilled that they do. It's not as sweet as Canada Dry, so I've been excited. I drunk a whole 12 pack in 2 days. I'll be
Wow.
honest with you, but but the point is, I intend to do that, and that's something I have ultimately complete control on, unless I get in the car and have a wreck, or unless I have a heart attack going there. Not other than a catastrophic event, I have the intent to do that, and I am in complete control of going to Walmart, getting my stuff, and coming back.
Hmm.
But when you're looking at, I intend to have a very successful Bigfoot conference. I intend for my investments to do well. Those are things that there's so many factors. And I was attracted to this machine because it would help. I was told it would help magnify and amplify my intentions. And so far, it seems to have. I mean, either that or I'm just the luckiest guy in the world. And I'll take either one of them. But I like
Yeah.
my machine right there, right next to me.
Oh yeah. And I remember when I was having a conversation with your attorney, which by the way, I want that gentleman. I want to be one of his clients. I was very impressed with your attorney friend, and
Oh,
he's
he's
just
great.
oh yeah, he's an awesome guy. You can tell this man has his act together. He's the kind of guy you want on your team. And but besides that, when I was trying to explain radionics to him and over the phone, I told him, I said, here's what it does. I have an attorney friend of mine. Good. I call him, hermano, which is Spanish for brother. And I mean, I consider him family. And he's an attorney, good attorney friend of mine. And he uses these machines in the legal system, to help with his client's case, to make the judge more favorable toward his client, or the district attorney maybe might drop the ball and just basically makes just falls on his or her face from the jury or the judge, and when they're presenting their side of the case, and you have a jury that becomes sympathetic to your client, that kind of a thing. This is the kind of stuff that he's used radionics for with great success, and he said, he told me, he said, Dr. Mulder, I just love these machines. You are a crazy man. You are a crazy man. I love these machines. And I said, well, thank you so much. And because that right there proves that even in a profession, something as serious as whether or not a gentleman or somebody's going to face incarceration or a heavy fine or what have you, when that kind of tilts the odds and puts things in your favor for you um, to be, lucky, quote unquote, lucky at defending your client. And And my point to him was, I think I even told him this. I said, I don't care if it's a Radionics device, a four-leaf clover, or a lucky rabbit's foot. If it works, if it gives you the edge, then it's worth, it's worth its weight in gold. Don't question it. Don't question it. Just let it do its job. And that's what I feel about these machines. I don't know why. I am blessed too. You were talking about being a billionaire when it comes to friends. That's what's happened to me. I'm surrounded literally by scientists, by people who are well trained engineers. It's just I could not. It's like the greatest university in the world. I've done engineering before. I'm self-taught. I've done optical engineering. I got a couple of patents concerning optical engineering, but I never took an optical engineering course in my life. What I did, I surrounded myself with smart people, asked them questions, and I was able to tap into their minds and use it to help me in my work. In return, they would get something out of it. It was always a win-win for everybody involved. But able to tap into the kind of minds like that, and I owe that to radionics. If it wasn't for radionics, I would never have the opportunities to meet the kind of people I meet. Like, for example, I'm very interested in this trading algorithm. I did a show with a guy by the name of Algo Cowboy, and we were on the air for about 2 hours. It was just a fantastic interview, and he and I were discussing, using trading algorithms. And I was thinking, I need somebody that actually understands computers, coding and that kind of a thing. And then all of a sudden, about 3 weeks ago, I get this phone call out of the blue from this professor of computer science, in North Carolina. I'm thinking, who the heck's this guy? And then I come to find out you've actually worked on trading algorithms. What are the odds? What are the freaking odds of me coming into contact with a guy like you with your talent, with your knowledge base, and then,
Zero. I'm just going to interrupt you. The odds of you sticking your finger in the big pot of life and finding me are almost zero,
yeah,
because
exactly.
there are too many millions of people in this country. And then you find me. At my university, I was the first guy to teach financial engineering. I mean, and everybody thought I was crazy, but then it turned out to be the e-commerce world, and it turned out to be probably one of the most useful courses at the whole university. And everybody thought I was just crazy, and I was very interested. I've got an unpublished book about trading algorithms. I do. I never have told you that, but I mean, I
Mhm.
got it. It's on my hard. It's on my hard. Oh, it's in a PDF somewhere. Yeah, that's right. But anyway, I got I've done some of that, and we're trying to be looking at some of that as we move forward with everything. But yeah, the odds of finding a guy with exactly my experience is practically zero. I mean,
Yeah.
of all the people, and to have me call you is defies the odds.
And the common denominator was radionics. That was it. That was the
Mhm.
common denominator among throughout this entire situation here. And I got to tell you, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is no joke. The people, people like John come into my life more often than not. I mean, you'd be surprised the quality of human beings that I surround myself with. And I think if 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 that is the definition of success, to be around, what I consider just high quality. I mean, the best of the best, the top of they're at the top of their game. To be surrounded by those kind of people, and I'm just by happenstance, it just comes to me. How can I be that? How can I be that freaking lucky? I mean, seriously, how can I be that freaking lucky if these machines did not work? When I'm sitting there again, this an algorithm, something as obscure as a freaking trading algorithm. And this gentleman, I would say within 10 days after I started getting this thing rolling here, and I thought to myself, yeah, I'm gonna need some more talent. I get a call from this guy concerning something entirely unrelated. It's absolutely astonishing. It blows my mind. And this doesn't happen every once in a while. This is a common occurrence.
Well, I don't know why it happens, but I'm glad it does. You know, everybody is always looking for the key to life. They're looking for answers to life's questions. You know, there's sometimes you just kind of go with the flow, and if something works, you just smile and go on, like
Hmm.
a radionics machine. I mean, I don't know why. Our engineering buddy, he said, and I'll never forget these words. I could tell you what's in it, but you wouldn't understand why it works. And you would think it wouldn't work if I told you. I said, okay.
Hmm.
And I know it sure does work. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, exactly. And another thing I kind of delved into because I was looking at this on the other side of the coin of radionics was magic, and as a result of that, I have several friends who are magicians. Great guys. I know them on a personal level, and I just consider them just fantastic people. I may not agree with their belief system on what they do with certain things in their practices, but as people, I just think they're just awesome, awesome human beings. Okay. Now, here's the thing: how can they, how can a magician, take a potion or a magic wand or whatever and create things and make things happen in the ether? And, they think they're basically, asking some kind of spiritual entity to, for help, whether it's demonic or angelic or whatever. That's beside the point. They're looking, they're dealing with spiritual energy or something or some kind of a spiritual entity that's they're incorporating in their practices along with these potions and what have you. Why does this work? And then here's the caveat to all of this. These guys started realizing that they could do a lot of what they're doing, these ceremonies, these rituals. They were able to use or incorporate radionics by doing this, and they get just as good results in just a fraction of the time and the amount of energy expended, that they had to expend in order to create that situation or create that ripple, in reality to make things, change the way things are. And they're starting to see it for themselves. It's like magic and radionics seem to be the other side of the coin of each other. What are your thoughts on that? I'm just curious.
Um, well, I think, okay, I beg to differ with you. I think they are the same side of the coin.
Okay.
But that's what I think is because it seems like some of the results you get. Oh, you can't say magic, but you can say chance. You can say opportunities arise. I mean, opportunities come by every day, but a bunch of good opportunities in a row, well, there are times when a lot of good things will happen.
Hmm.
As long as they keep happening. I mean, I think the magic here is getting good opportunities, and they are coming from. I'm almost certain they're coming from radionics. I don't know. You know what? I just don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm just sitting here glad I got my machine. I got my list of people to call that I need to call. Most of them have called me ever since I turned. I mean, I've just had other good luck. Just
Hmm.
in the world, I've had other good luck just because of this radionics machine. It's like it's bringing good luck to me in other directions other than the project I was working on, and that's kind of interesting. I mean, I okay, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to give this. There's an example I don't want to give out because I don't want people to say, "Well, that happened to you. Why can't that happen to me?" I don't want to do that, but I can just say I had some phenomenal luck a week ago. No, last Monday, I got a phone call from a client, and it was unbelievable.
Hmm.
And the opportunity. There goes that word. The opportunity that was there with him that nobody had noticed. And so I'm going to take that opportunity, that scenario, and I've got a lot of other people I'm going to see about this same opportunity, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's just success seems to breed more success. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And like I said, it goes back to the mindset, the focus of the machine, and I keep saying this many times before. The machine is just a tool. It's just a mechanism that makes your job easier. Okay, I like to give the analogy of you can walk to the store or you could get in your car and drive to the store. At the end of the day, you're accomplishing the same thing, but because you're using an automobile it is more convenient, it is faster, it saves you time. And there's less energy exerted by you to make that happen. But still, at the end of the day, you accomplish the same thing. So I look at radionics, it's like that automobile or a bicycle or a motorcycle. It is there to is it's a tool. It's just taking what's already inside of you and just amplifying it and making it more focused, and with the least amount of exertion and the least amount of energy on your part. And that I think is really the secret and the beauty behind why these tools are so unique compared to other belief systems that people out there are doing. I think I think there's some fantastic radionics devices out there, fantastic manufacturers, and you're right, they're pricey. And there's a lot of different avenues people can go when it comes to this kind of technology. But that is what I've noticed. That's been my observation. And you mentioned earlier, about the pricing of these devices. My goal when I first started building these machines, I wanted to be able to build a working machine that the average person could afford. I mean, for a few $100s, you're more willing to take a chance than you would if you're spending, three, five, 10, $15,000 on a couple of machines or on something that you're not so sure about. You're more willing to, it's not going to break the bank. It's not going to put you in the poorhouse, worst case scenario wise when it comes to radionics devices. And that's the reason why I try to keep these machines affordable and, within the price reach or, of the average person. And yeah, I mean, I have some machines that go up to, $1,000, a little bit over $1,000. I have some that are as low as $195. So I go from one end of the spectrum to the other when it comes to these devices. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is to get people, you know, within their budgets where they can afford to get involved in this technology and to practice it and to have it benefit their lives. And that's really my goal when it comes to the stuff and why I do what I do and why I build the machines the way I build them.
Yeah, well, that's great. And we all appreciate it. I mean, the first manufacturer that I went to, the lowest price machine they had was $2,500, and I just couldn't afford that.
Hmm.
So anyway, it would just, I think a lot of people appreciate your thoughtfulness of getting a machine that is inexpensive enough that will work.
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea. It's the whole idea. And again, no, I think my competition, they make fantastic machines, and in no way am I, trying to say anything negative about them. They are fantastic machines, but they are a little pricey, and that's really, I realized I had a certain, niche or a certain market there, because of that one thing, and so. It's just out there. I look at it as just true capitalism where you're just trying to build a better mousetrap or you're trying to meet a certain market. And I really was very pragmatic about it when I kind of made a lot of these decisions. But anyway, that's just something I wanted to kind of cover with you on that. Well, anyway, I was going to ask you about quantum computers, and you told me you really don't know anything about that, or it really wasn't a specialty of yours, I guess, when you were.
No, 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 it's not. I kind of got out of the research field right when quantum computing kind of, hit the airwaves and stuff. So I really don't have any experience with it. I would like to, but just not to, there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, well, I understand that. And here's what fascinated me about quantum computers. I think the guy he was it there was a computer company that does quantum computers or manufactures them out of Canada, and I think the guy's name was Gordy Rose or Gordon Rose. I believe that was his name. And somebody was asking him, why do quantum computers work? And he said that they basically they're able to um, tap into the resources of other dimensions. They're able to uh, exploit the resources of other dimensions. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So, what are you saying about these quantum computers that there's internally there's something that's going through time, or they basically a time machine? And I asked another computer scientist about this, about quantum computers, and I said, this is just something that kind of popped in my mind about the way these things operate. You know, say we program a quantum computer to do a certain operation to figure out a certain mathematical problem, for example, and is a massive problem that would take a normal supercomputer hundreds of years to solve. We'll just go with that scenario, and you're able to take a quantum computer and the likelihood of getting a correct answer in a matter of a few minutes. Okay, you will probably the chances are within a matter of a few minutes, you're going to get an answer from that computer. So, in other words, it's doing thousands or it's doing hundreds of years of computing, power or using hundreds of years of computing or computations in a matter of a few minutes. But I told him, I said, well, from my perspective, what about this? What if the computer, on the outside we're looking in, it's taking a matter of a few minutes or an hour or two for them to come to solve this problem. But in reality, internally, that computer is working for hundreds of years. But it's just our observation or from the dimension that we're looking or observing that computer from. In the meantime, the computer is actually going into other dimensions and tapping into other sources of information in order to find that answer. I don't know. This is what's being explained to me. This is what I'm kind of understanding. It is so far out there that I wonder, is this not the next thing when it comes to the future? I mean, this is going to kick AI's ass once this stuff gets in the full play. What's your opinion on that, or do you have an opinion?
Well, I guess one thing that I'll say is it's on my list to explore. And I got into the cloud computing right when it started, and I'm glad that I did. I understood it, and invite me on the show in about 2 years, and I'll talk to you all about quantum computing. Deal?
Deal. Let's do it. All right, my friend. Well, I tell you, we've been on the air here for almost a little over an hour. I think we covered everything, and we've given everybody a good overlook of, or an overview of everything that you're working on here over this conference and radionics from what you've discovered so far. Now, in closing, you want to go ahead and get out some information, and also I will, you know, post the links on the description on the video. So everybody, all they got to do is just drop down the description, click on the link, and you take you right to Dr. John Stamey's websites. So please.
Well, okay, you can always find me at scarycastpodcast.com. That will go to our Facebook page. And right now, the hot ticket for me is ncbigfootconference.com, June 17th, Burnsville, North Carolina. Just go there and get you a ticket and come on up. We're going to have a grand time, and Professor Mulder will be there. So that's going to be a blast. And he and I will be doing a talk on radionics. So for all of you that want to see a machine, watch it be programmed. I've never known of a public conference. Maybe they have had some radionics conferences, but I've never known of a public conference where you could go and watch someone use a radionics machine. Have you, Professor
Oh
Mulder?
yeah. No, I have been to a radionics conference over in Ohio. I think it's Columbus, Ohio, quite a few years ago. But again, that was basically you're dealing with people that already have a pre-existing knowledge of radionics. They're already they're interested in that stuff, and that's the reason why they're there. This right here, I'm dealing with a demographic, but I think a demographic that once they understand what's going on with this technology and how it can help them in their cryptid research, I think that's going to be one heck of an opportunity to introduce this particular technology into put it into their hands. And I'm looking forward to this. I really am. It's going to be
All right.
cool.
Well, me too, Professor Mulder.
All right, my friend. Well, like I said, it's been a fantastic interview. I really do appreciate your time on this, and I'm looking forward to doing this again. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, have a great evening, and I will talk to you later. Good day.
Bye bye.